Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to The Move, presented by Patron Tequila. Sitting here with my infamous co-host, J.B. Hager, as always.
Just a couple hours later than yesterday.
Yeah, my bad.
I don't know which. Yeah. No, it just the stages are starting at different times because of World Cup soccer.
We'll get to that, because now that's a good point. But we're talking about Stage 2 from Mouilleron Saint-Germain, up in the Vendée region, finishing in La Roche-sur-Yon, a 182 kilometer jaunt for you people here in the States. 182 kilometers is 115 miles approximately on what was a hot one. Full sun, full heat, 90 plus degrees. We'll get into that as well, because I think that's a significant thing this early in the race. I think, just as a side note, these guys take for granted that this first week that's in the north, they're going to get some cooler temps. Boy, if we start this thing at 90 plus all the way to the finish,
Takes its toll.
There's going to be some tired boys.
And you've got some take coming up on how that affects them too.
What?
Leading into tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll get into
that.
that.
I got a double take on that.
Yeah.
Before we get to the show, let's cover off on a little bit of work. For those of you guys who follow me on social media, you know that the last year or so I've been just hitting it hard in the gym. And in case you don't know, maybe you can see, kidding. Spending a ton of time at the gym in Austin called On It, founded by Aubrey Marcus, a good buddy of mine, being coached over there by John Wolf. I've been spending a ton of time in the gym, and every time I'm there, I'm surrounded by these kids training for the NFL Combine. And then when they go to the Combine, next wave of guys comes in is all the NFL veterans, Earl Thomas, etc. So it's these guys have it down. Now, the cool thing is you don't have to go to the gym anymore. The boys at On It, Aubrey, John Wolf, Esic, Christian, they've created an at-home program called On It 6, which is...
They've just taken all the things they've worked on with these high-level clientele of great athletes.
Everything they've learned from the best athletes in the world, and how you move, how you build strength, how you recover, and they put it in a home program. You don't need all the equipment. You don't need to go to Austin. By the way, we're in Aspen, so I get to do it right over there. My house is right there.
Yeah.
I get to go over there and do it. So just go to onnit.com, onnit.com/themove. You can subscribe or sign up for On It 6, the home program. And as well, when you're there, you get 10% off all supplements, food, etc. So onnit.com/themove.
I want to try their Focus supplement that you've talked about.
Well, you can get it if you go over there. You get 10% off Alpha Brain. You probably you get a free trial of Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain was their original bestseller. It was the thing that kind of put them on the map.
If anyone knows me, I need that.
For all you people that take Adderall out there, this is a I didn't know you took that. This is a you need it. This is a natural version.
I would rather go natural. Than,
give it a shot.
Good deal. Yeah, I'll do that order.
All right, last thing before we get to it. Our friends at High Brew Coffee, we've talked about it every day. All natural ingredients, 2 cups of coffee in a can, which, by the way, I'm going to walk out of here with this can, so it's completely portable. One thing I learned today, too, is they only deal in direct trade. So there's none of this nefarious goofiness. Direct trade with Colombia. 6 different flavors out of Austin, Texas. High Brew, they sit here every day. We love the product. We needed it a little more yesterday because we had to get up so early. But now that, actually, with all the technical difficulties, I'm going to need another one to get my ass out on the bike. So all the folks at High Brew, thank you so much. Check it out. Let's get to it. Hey, it is. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, it was. I guess where we should begin, because it really was most of the day and most of what we saw is let's talk about Sylvain Chavanel, who's without a doubt. Look, we can talk about Peter Sagan and his dominance, but a guy like Sylvain Chavanel, who's spent over 100 miles off the front. Some of it with the group and then the rest all alone, has to be our patron of the day. And not only, I guess in a way, since he turned pro in the year 2000 and we're now in 2018, he probably is on certain occasions. I mean, when there's not that dominant force in the group, the younger guys are just going to look to the guy that's been there 18 years.
Right.
And so not only in that sense is he, or could he be the patron, but he is our patron of the day. As this entire show is brought to you by Patron Tequila.
But as a fan, off the bike as a fan, you like seeing that somebody just go out on the break and just going for it. right?
As
As opposed to just sitting in.
Yeah.
I mean, why not give it a shot, right?
Look, he has enough experience to know that his chances are very, very slim.
Yeah.
But he's now on a smaller-ish French team, and so if he spends 100 miles off the front, well, gosh, that's 4 hours of direct TV time in the country of France. Sponsors love it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, his friends and family love it. He's going to be a little poop tomorrow for the team time trial, but net, it was a win for him, and he wins also the most combative, so that gets him a step on the podium today, and that gets again more TV time. Listen, if he finishes this tour, and the only reason I bring this up is because our good friend George Hincapie has the record of 17 tour finishes. He'll be sitting on this couch or this couch coming up very soon. If he finishes this tour, this will be number 16, and so you know what he's thinking.
Yeah, he's looking at that record.
George, knock, 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 knock.
And as you talk about the Patron and the history with that, a guy like Chavanel, I mean, are those guys the bosses in the peloton? Like if they start barking, you get a gain of a certain amount of respect, I would assume, right?
I don't know lately, but I mean, I have, for those of you who watched my career, you will remember, perhaps you would remember this. So if he went pro in 2000, he did his first tour in 2001. And I left, so we did 5 tours together. If you guys remember that stage in 2003 when I caught the kid's sack, hit the ground,
dude,
and then unclipped and took the top tube in the cajoni. If you'll remember, when I fought towards the end of the stage, I caught a kid, all brioche boulanger, all red jersey, and I patted him on the back. That was Sylvain Chavanel as a young kid. So he's been around. He was a mild kid back then. I don't know what he's like now, but a guy in his upper 30s, and you're a young kid in the group, shit, you better get out the way. I mean, if you're upper 30s, 40, just get out of the way. Let the old man through.
Yeah. I was just curious about, I just assume there's a lot of respect for the veterans. I guess they have to earn it too.
Yeah, I say there is. There probably isn't.
No,
there probably isn't.
I'm sure you saw it with different riders. And what made me think of it, I was reading an article, and Hinault, who you've talked about, who was, a patron of his day.
Very much so.
And the article was when the peloton had decided to do a protest, and he, it's like he's running the union in a way.
In a way. Yeah, I mean there was the peloton didn't. Well, they might have protested over certain things back then. I mean, believe it or not, back in the day when they announced that they were going to drug test, they protested. Imagine how that would go over today.
Wow.
But there was a lot of times this hasn't happened. I think they've figured out a way to calm these groups and unions down, whether it's the farmers or the or the whatever. They used to just block the road. And there was once a time where they just blocked the road of the tour. The caravan couldn't get through, the riders couldn't get through, and here comes Hinault, just full stop, nonstop. I mean, just didn't break motion, just bam, right on the chin.
Clocked the guy?
Clocked him,
Really?
right on the chin.
I gotta Google that.
How
I
about
love
that?
I love that.
Now, I'm not a big fan of his, but that's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. Let's get right to what happened at. Well, no, wait. Let's hold on to what happened at the finish. You want to talk about Lawson?
Yeah, let's talk about Lawson because he was our patron of the day yesterday. I think he deserved it. It's sure enough. As soon as we went off the air yesterday, he texted me and let me know that he's got a broken scapula and he was going to try to just get through the night and try to start today, which he did. Which is, I've had a broken collarbone. I don't know really the difference in pain wise between a collarbone and a scapula. I got to imagine it doesn't feel good, and if you saw him today, it doesn't look good. He's still sitting, like a crab. But he got
toughness.
He, two things. One, or three things. One, he hung in there, and I think he was smart at the end to just sit up and stay out. He cannot hit the deck again. His goal is to finish this tour. So the thing that struck me as I watched the coverage is when they interviewed him before the start is the interviewer said, well, what did you do last night to try to get ready for today? And he said, I saw the chiropractor and I took some ibuprofen, and he even remarked that in cycling that's kind of all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's bullshit. I'm just, this is the hardest sporting event in the world. If an athlete falls over and breaks his scapula and wants to continue, and the sport is so concerned and chasing its tail so much that we say, no, you cannot. We don't care how you sleep.
I don't
you
care
can't
if
have
you're in pain.
Just Advil. That's all you get.
Yeah.
You cannot have any pain. Whatever. I don't know how you fix those things.
Yeah.
But there's got to be certain remedies that are bigger and better than Advil. And I would even take it to the place where you go too far and you actually make it unhealthy for the rider.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, we had this situation many, many years ago where a rider was stung in the head by a bee and his head swelled up like twice as big.
It?
I didn't want to say the name, but it's not my favorite person. But anyways, it doesn't matter who it was. And they couldn't take cortisone to get the swelling. Guys, stop. Stop. It's the fucking Tour de France. It's the hardest sporting event in the world. I'm not saying let's green light everything in the medical cabinet, but no.
I mean, I couldn't help but think of other sports, and we don't even need to. I mean, just almost any other sport. Timeout. And that athlete who's injured is escorted to the locker room, and that area of pain is often injected with something so they can continue. At least locally address the pain, right?
Well, guess what? Those sports, whatever sport you're talking about, is not the doormat of world sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just anyway. I could talk for hours about this, but I won't. Let's talk. I want to talk more positively about Lawson's situation because he's hanging in there, and his goal is to finish. Dude.
And I'm sure he wants to finish, but he's also like, if I can just get through that team time trial too tomorrow. He wants to contribute.
Well, what he's got it. So the trick there for him, that's a great point, JB. The trick for him is he has to stay
on
he's got a broken scapula. He's going to be on the tri-bars with the elbows on the pads. Any bump in the road, any vibration is just going to go straight. You can imagine it goes straight up the tricep, straight into the upper arm, right into that scapula. But he's got to stay within 4% of his team, I believe, the time cut being. Not easy to do. Mm-hmm. But here, wish him luck on that. But what he's tweeted out yesterday, which we here at The Move and all of us at WEDÜ have matched him, and you'll see. You can go to Lawson's Twitter feed. It's at Lawson Craddock. A broken scapula and a few stitches is not how I wanted to start at La Tour. But this Texan will fight as much as I can to continue. I will donate $100 to the @Alkek Velodrome, ALKEK Velodrome, for Harvey relief for every stage that I finish. Anyone care to match? ? At JJ loves the Texans. At JJ Watt. At Houston Texans. Bunch of people, chimed in and matched, as did we here at The Move. So, pretty noble gesture in light of the pain that he's in.
So wait, the charity is Harvey Relief?
I believe the velodrome suffered quite a bit of damage.
Oh, okay. So to repair it
during.
We have an international audience who may not know what when you reference Harvey. That was a huge hurricane, tropical storm that hit Houston and left much of it underwater.
You know what I heard once? Not once. I mean, it is a fact. I mean, we in Texas and actually probably everywhere they talk about 100-year floods. And I mean, you get a 100-year flood, it's over. Like everybody's toast. Hurricane Harvey was a 500-year flood.
Yeah, it was insane.
Bad, real bad.
I mean, Houston's a massive city, and most of it was underwater. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Good job, Lawson. And I keep going, hey, dude, quit talking about how tough Texans are, because I'm one. I'm like, maybe I'm not that tough.
No, we do not think that you would be starting any kind of fundraiser based on you finishing. No, you'd have to do something else.
I would do the fundraising. I just wouldn't be the guy toughing it out.
You'd have a different fundraiser.
So yeah, we're big fans of Lawson. Keep it up, buddy. Man, that's impressive. It'll be interesting to watch how he can manage that team time trial tomorrow. But when we'll get into that more. You talked a lot today as we were watching about the heat, in particular, of how it affects tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I I think that this early, I think the guys take for granted that the stages in the north will be cooler. I mean, they're not going to be 50. Well, I guess they could be 50, but they're just going to be cooler. You don't expect it up there to be in the 90s, and probably, we're not there, but probably very humid. You saw Sagan at the finish. I mean, he was projectile sweating. And so twofold. One, managing hydration / dehydration this early on for the favorites. You can't get behind on the hydration. Otherwise, it's just so hard to catch up. So that's, for those guys, really pay attention to that. And number two, tomorrow's a big day. And if you know, 3 of your guys on your team for the team time trial are just behind, or, I mean, hydration and heat is the number one determining factor when it comes to performance. So if you're behind on that before a really, really critical day, you're not the same. You're half the engine. And so, you know, I would urge those guys and their teams to really pay attention to that.
There were 2 particular crashes today, one that affected the sprint finish. We'll talk about that next. But the Sanchez crash, looked pretty gnarly. He left in the ambulance. I mean, even tried to talk about toughness, man. I'm amazed by these guys. He tried to get back on the bike, and something in his arm, his shoulder, maybe a collarbone, he just was like, he put an ounce on it and it just grimaced. It looked brutal. But this is a guy that's been around, and
just like Sylvain Chavanel. I mean, Luis Leon Sanchez has been pro for 15 years. I raced with him for quite a few years before I retired, and then obviously in all the comeback years, just an absolute motor. And so we stressed it in the preview show. I didn't think that, you know, I guess you have to think that you would contend with this before the TTT, but if you lose with an 8-man team and you start to lose a guy, 2 guys in the mountains, I was talking about, right? A guy like Luis Leon Sanchez in the mountains would. Jacob Fuglsang absolutely needed him, but gosh, he's going to start tomorrow. Team Astana is going to start tomorrow with 7 guys missing one of their biggest engines. You know, they got stress, and so, and then if you lose another guy, then you're down to it really. Let's not underestimate what it means to take these fields or to teams from 9 to 8. I think it's a big deal, and you start to lose a couple, it's not good.
Then there was a gnarly crash at, what was it, 2K out? About 2K out, and we saw yellow go down, riding Sagan's wheel. It was one of those corner pileups where you're just like, you're taking an inventory, especially when you're watching that aerial view. Mm-hmm. You're like, did Sagan get up? Did the yellow jersey get up? You're just like going, what happened here? And it takes a while to sort it out.
Yeah.
That was nasty, and that's a testament to staying in the front, which
we always talk about. Oh, you got to stay in the front, got to stay in the front. I guess I should have put an asterisk on that, because, and this is what I would always do in my career is 99% of the time you're in the first 10 or 20, no excuses. When these boys start lining up for the sprint, I have no business being there. No business being there. So take a couple guys, take an Eki, take a George, get to 50 or 60 and just laser focus. Do not take your eyes off of the action in front of you. And I mean, so it sounds funny, you know. You always stay in the front. Where does the crash happen today? Right in the front.
Yeah.
Daryl Impey, you know, gosh, old teammate, old friend, came in a little hot there, right underneath him. Sagan just avoided it. You know, he was just
again back to that bike handling.
He was 5 feet ahead of where the action happened, and he avoided it. And but by the way, even as good as Peter Sagan could handle a bike, if guys come into you, I don't care. You know, Evil Knievel going down.
Yeah,
you know.
And then that led to, you know, Sagan taking the sprint, which you had predicted because of a slight uphill finish. You thought favored him. That proved to be true.
Yeah. No, it was a slight kick up. He always puts himself in the right place, and he always, you know. The commentators were noting Andre Greipel, I mean, who just He was there, and he just missed the jump. And Sagan, he just doesn't. At this point in his career, he doesn't make mistakes like that. He's in the right place. He knows when to go. He knows the finish is slightly uphill.
What makes the slight uphill favor him? Can he just have more power output?
He's more power, and it sounds funny, but he's more power and less speed. But compared to some of these other guys that are just pure speed, he can just muscle it. I mean, having said that, Sonny Cabrelli started to come around him, and both with the bike throw. If that finish line is 10 or 20 meters later, we have a different winner.
That's just that experience of timing.
But again, he knows when to go, and he can kind of judge his effort, and as a special guy. And just you can't not love his post-race interview.
He's so fun. I was just thinking that too in the post-race interview.
My friends here.
When they were congratulating him on being in yellow, and his response was, "For a day."
That's true. That's true.
He's just one nugget at a time.
He
kind
will
of guy.
not be in the yellow jersey tomorrow night.
Meaning that after the team time trial, he expects to give it up.
That is true.
Okay. But he is funny. I mean, there were social clips of him yesterday after the stage.
Yep.
He's riding along. The fans are all still barriered back. Someone sunglasses had fallen into the street. Instead of hustling back to the bus, the hotel, he stopped, picked them up. Like, whose are these? Handed them to a fan. Like, it's just little things I see him do. You know what I mean? His interaction with fans, with kids, with charitable efforts. Yeah. He is a likable character. He's good for the whole sport.
Yeah, he's the biggest personality in the game, for sure. Hey, let's do a little business before we talk about tomorrow, because I got a lot on my mind about the team time trial. I mean, this is a big day for the individual favorites. So, but before we get to that, let's talk about my friends at PowerDot. Talk about it every day. I mean, this portable e-stim unit, which I carry with me everywhere I go, is kind of crazy. Thinking about a Lawson Craddock, a Lawson Craddock might be greatly served by having such a portable e-stim unit. All the teams, Bluetooth enabled, app on the phone. It is so simple, and not just for recovery, but also for building strength and other advantages to the body. I love this company. In fact, I love it so much that I recently invested in it, just so you know. Big fan. And for our listeners, you can go to, what do we got? We go to powerdot.com/themove, giving away 1 unit per day to the listeners. And then also offering 25% off to our listeners of The Move. So powerdot.com/themove. And if you're old and slow and cranky like me, don't walk, please.
Hey, before you jump into the team time trial, was there something that we would call the move of the day?
Who was the move of the day? No, I mean, Sagan. Not even I expected him. If you guys were, for you members who were on with us, we do a little thing here on the couch called, basically a sit-in with Lance, and people are firing off questions to us to a member-only email. I mean, even before the crash, I said, just looking at the finish, looking at the technical nature of the run-in and the uphill finish, Sagan, this was written. It was perfect for him.
The move was probably 2 things.
The move was staying out of trouble,
and then doing what he does.
By the way, too, might have been a little lucky. I mean, Gaviria and Sagan easily could have been in different positions.
Very cool. Team time trial. You're very excited about this. You're a fan of the team time trial.
Love this event. Love this event. I'm just telling you, and I love the fact that guys have to take it serious. The individual, the favorites have to take it serious because they know. So, 2 things. One, they know that it counts for their individual GC, which is significant to them. But also, they have to talk to their guys on the road. So when they're out there, and I did this all the time, when you're out there rotating with 8 other guys, or 7 other guys in this case, the guy that's number 6 and 7, your weakest guys, like you as a leader, you have to talk to them. You have to get them into this event. They hate this event. It is so hard. I mean, the first team time trial I ever did, for you old cycling buffs, was it used to be an international event, was the 4-man. the 4-man 100-kilometer team time trial. It was one of the hardest events you could do in cycling. It was mega painful. But this, even with 8 guys, it's still super painful. That leader has to motivate these guys that just want to sit up, right? Just give me half the race. They can't sit up too much because they'll miss the time cut. And also just the beauty of it, having 8 guys turning with such beautiful, the TT frames and the discs and the position and the helmets.
It's exciting if you're into technology, right?
But even for the casual fan, I think if they saw it on TV, they're like, "Whoa, this is
this is
cool."
Any amateur rider that has been out with their buddies and like, let's pace line. It is hard.
It's hard.
It is really, really difficult. And then when crosswinds come into play and
look.
It's brutal. And a disc that becomes a sail.
Okay, so you're right. And so for you fans out there that ride a lot, I mean, you've been in line with your buddies, either in your local race or just on a group ride, and you're on your road bikes down on the drops, no discs. Throw in rear disc, throw in aero bars, and we always were trying to figure out, okay, you can't have 8 guys out on the bars. That's just
it's dangerous.
That's crazy talk. Like, it's too dangerous.
You will go down.
So do you have the first 3 or 4? So it's because those guys at the back, I mean, everything is a chain reaction. Everything gets delayed. If the first guy moves a little, the second guy moves a little more, the third guy moves even more, and it's just the tail on that is so whippy, and so you got to be out on the drops to prepare yourself. But the moral of the story or the point is to go as fast as you can. So it's a nerve-wracking event.
Well, I do love watching it, and I want to get an idea of how long people stay on the front, because again, as an amateur trying it, you usually just your buddies, you stay on the front until you're blowing up.
Yep.
You don't want to do that quite as much. Like the pros are so efficient at it.
Mm-hmm.
So my 2-part question. How much time do they say that you're not winding through the city? Let's say it's a big open road. How much time do they spend in the front before it swaps out? And part 2, do different riders stay on the front different amounts of times depending on their skill with that?
Of course. I mean, there's a couple of key things to know and note for, and you'll see it tomorrow for the team time trial. So the point is not to get to the front and accelerate. If you feel that good and you feel like accelerating, the worst thing you can do is accelerate, because the weakest guy on the team is going to feel it the most. The best thing you can do if you're strong is to get there and stay there, right? So a long pull is way better than a fast pull.
Really?
Yeah. So
see, I would thought the opposite, just that efficient wheel turning. No.
The speed has to, the more constant the speed stays, the better.
And the more rotations, the harder it is to maintain the exact
You just
speed.
have to imagine, if you're the strongest guy and you got up there and just hit the gas, you're gonna gap off your weakest guy. And by the way, there might be 3 guys behind him that have to come. It's a very technical event. I mean, in the day, you'd see a guy like Indurain or even myself by chance. You just get there. There would be a slight acceleration, but that would be followed by a long pull, right? So this little 10-second acceleration and pull off, that doesn't do anybody any good. So you'll see guys tomorrow. They'll sit on. Tom Dumoulin tomorrow is going to just be sitting on the front.
Really? He'll spend much more time on the front.
Back in the Indurain back in the day, I mean, Indurain had a great team full of great climbers. They never, ever, ever should have been worth diddly doop in the TTT. They were always top 4, top 5, because the big MIG get up there, slight acceleration, and stay. And meanwhile, De Las Cuevas and Delga, all these guys are back there just swinging and just praying for him to pull off so they could catch a break.
In your
I'm looking, just before I forget, I'm looking at this isn't flat. This is up and down, and I mean, I love it. I got 35K of just up and down, pretty straightforward roads, pretty straightforward run-in, I guess, but it's not flat.
In your day, you were a guy that liked to get into the wind tunnel, and you were innovating with some partners, a lot of different things, details down to the stitching on clothing, right? like what can we do to get more? What are the gloves like? What are everything?
Yeah.
Since that era to today, what breakthroughs have you seen in aero?
The sport they really try to control a lot of that.
They don't want it to go too far.
They don't want it. Which I don't know where I fall on that, but yeah, they try to limit as much of that as they can. We saw the big controversy last year with Team Sky that had patches on the shoulders, and a couple months ago, one of the teams had some spray on. I'm butchering this. Had some spray on something or other, like on the front of the legs. Anything that touches the wind, so the head, the chest, the legs, the arms, anything that breaks the air is the part where you can start to shave seconds. But yeah, they limit a lot of that. It's not. One other thing I do want to point out, and this is to me just as a TTT geek and a guy who, if I'm in this position, and for the listener to know, the teams tomorrow will start in order of team classification, not individual classification. So Peter Sagan has the yellow jersey. His team, Bora Hansgrohe, is not starting last, right? They're starting seventh.
Yeah, I want to understand how that works. So they take the collective ranking and just add up that number, and that's how it's determined.
The Team GC.
So your team
I think it's the top 3 riders per team per day. But anyways, point being, the first team off tomorrow is going to be Cofidis. Not surprising. They're terrible. Second team is going to be Astana. So, and again, none of this really matters, but when you get down in here, here's an example. Ranked 5th in the Team GC is Team Sky. Ranked 6th in the Team GC is Bahrain Meridia, Vincenzo Nibali's team. So Chris Froome is going to start behind Vincenzo Nibali and will have his time splits. So if he's thinking, okay, that's the biggest favorite, he's going to know. And Nibali's going to have to wait 3 or 4 minutes until he gets a time check off Chris Froome. Team Movistar is ranked 8th, so they're going to be. So again, Froome, in a lot of ways, he's a bit on his heels because of the Team GC. He has the advantage of knowing what his rivals are doing up the road. To me, that is a huge. Back in the day, man, if we could start behind Telecom and Ulrich and Once and Baloki and all these guys, huge advantage. I mean, Johan, come on. Hey, we're 20 seconds up on Once. You're 30 seconds up on T-Mobile. Man, the boys just full gas. So big advantage.
I mean, explain that a little bit more. And I mean, it seems pretty obvious to most, but that when you have the splits in front of you, you know everything that's happened in front of you. You've got teammates doing recon basically ahead of you.
No, you don't have teammates. You have other. You have. Look,
you would get information.
There's a time check at kilometer 13. There's a time check at kilometer 26.
Mm-hmm.
So kilometer 13, they're going to be 15 minutes with it. At the 15-minute mark, they're going to get a time check. So that'll, come over race radio, which will go to the car. The director will immediately tell the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 minutes into the race, Nicholas Portal is going to tell Chris Froome, hey, we're 30 seconds. You're already clawing yourself back. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, I do know Team Sky is going to win. That's just get
hands
that
down.
out.
They have the most
hands
depth.
down.
Really?
Hands down. BMC is going to do a good ride. For as much as that thing is a mess, they're going to do a good ride. But Team Sky is going to win.
Who gets hurt the most by having a team time trial?
My boys at AG2R. My boys at AG2R get hurt the most. By the way, they're ranked 10th in Team GC, so they'll start just behind Team Sunweb. Movistar, in terms of the overall favorites, Movistar and AG2R get hurt the most, I think. I might be wrong. Team Astana does now. Jacob Fuglsang lost a big engine today, so that team will pay for it tomorrow.
Thoughts on the time trial course?
I mean, it's hard to get in a rhythm when it's up and down like that. I'm looking at this profile. I haven't ridden it. This is not a profile, altitude profile where you can settle in, right? And again, all the more reason for the leaders of the team to take it easy on guys 7 and 8, because if you catch them at a bad time at the back of the group, right at the bottom of a hill, they're gone. And boy, you look at this profile and your thoughts go out to Lawson Craddock tomorrow. This is for him. If he stays within the time limit of his team, man, it ought not be a match. We all ought to be doing 10x of what he's going to do for the velodrome.
And just to remind people as we watch the stage tomorrow, explain to them again how the timing works with the team time trial. When does the clock stop?
It stops, with 9 guys, it used to stop on the 4th guy. I'm assuming it still stops at the rear wheel of the 4th man.
And so,
but that was based on my experience with the 9-rider team. I don't know why they would make it any different, but the rear wheel of the 4th man.
And why that's important for people to understand and watch for. If a teammate pops off the back and you've got your you can go on.
Timeout. You know you're going to lose guys.
Right.
Nobody finishes with a full team. If you finish with a full team, you did a bad TTT. Somebody, not somebody, some bodies better be getting dropped. Mm-hmm. If you got a guy that's just swinging and he's about to get dropped, he has to, before he gets dropped, he has to go to the front and give it one last pull, as much as he can, as long as he can, and pull off and go get ready to get in the shower.
All right. So let me bounce this off of you. Let's say your job is to be a domestique in the mountains,
mm-hmm.
and they're trying to keep you fresh for that.
Doesn't matter. There's a time cut. You got to stay in there
in the team time trial
for sure.
They can't just soft pedal and stay fresh.
No, you have to. No. That's why this is such a great event. It is a race of truth for a team. You can't.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Can I go mountain biking here pretty soon?
Oh, you can. Is that what's on the agenda for today? Some mountain
bike? It is some mountain bike. Yesterday I rode the pass with Robin Thurston, CEO of Helix, and it was I didn't drop him at the top, but he was hurting. He's done 0 tours. I don't know what that says about me or him. But hey, before we do that, I know we were doing this little sit-in with Lance here as we watched the last 20 or 25K, and we had a bunch of cool questions that the members sent in to their member-only email. So I know you wanted to get to some of those, but also I just want to recognize the Denver rope. Can we just not acknowledge, like, literally, you can't get this hat. Dude, this hat, we ordered them a month ago. They are now, like, I played golf like a year ago, and I saw this hat in the pro shop, not this one, but like it. I said, holy crap. I said, I don't know that I could pull that off. But I bought it, and now, like, if you watch the tour events and stuff on the weekend, like, it is the rage. It's like this retro Rodney Dangerfield. I just want to, and by the way, too, for you,
please explain that to
for the old cycling buffs, you'll understand this. So, James Selman, our head of creative, who does just an amazing job with all of the stuff that we do around here, branding wise, he and I were just riffing because the hat's retro. We're like, well, shouldn't we tweak the WEDÜ stuff to be a little retro? And I was like, oh, the U with the long bar. And I said, James, do you remember the old System U team, the old with Laurent Fignon and so he's like, yeah, I do. And so we looked it up. And so this is a play, taking the U from WEDÜ with the long bar, and a play on the old System U jersey, which was, was an amazing team. And again, all fits within the theme of being retro. But I'm proud. Like a year ago, I was like, that's a cool hat. And everybody thought, that's an ugly hat. But now
I like it. I think
now you can't get them.
That's great.
So,
and that's in the
store. WEDÜ.team. Yeah, shop.
If you want to check that out.
Let's get some questions.
I know we have. You can send any comments into the show at themove@WEDÜ.team, and we'd love to include those on the show. So send those as you're watching tomorrow. But let's see. Ninad. Sorry.
You're bad with names.
I'm terrible.
You're the one guy was ragging on you.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Ramain.
Me too.
Ramain.
I'm bad at remembering names.
I can pronounce German names, though. I'm good at that.
That's cool.
Speaking
of that, Jens Voigt came on the coverage today. My God. It hasn't gotten better. I can't take. I had to leave the room, JB. Keep going. What's the question?
I struggle to understand him. I think I would understand him better if he spoke German. Nice work, Lance.
Thank
you. The only cycling podcast I listen to nowadays.
Oh, thank you.
I like that it's not biased like many of the others.
We got accused of being biased. We try. I don't know. I mean, look. I don't know if it's biased or not, but what it is honest. So even if it's a good buddy, you got to call it. I mean, look, Daryl Impey's a great buddy of mine. I mean, that move in the last corner, not a good move. So.
Yeah. Anson writes, Lance, I really pushed for less riders. I don't know if I'm right, but I want even less,
I
like a 4-person team.
No, that's not what you want. That is not what you want.
Why?
If you want to have a 2-day race, you can have a 4-man team. A 3-week race that's the hardest sporting event in the world, you can't do it with a 4-man team. I agree with less total riders. I do not agree with less riders per team. I agree that we ought to get rid of these shit teams that do not deserve to be in the Super Bowl of cycling. That's what I agree with. If we just took 3 of those, if we just say we had still 9-guy teams, you took 3 of them out, or 4 even, you'd have 27 or 36 less riders. So I will agree.
There should be less riders.
There should
as
be
a
less
whole.
In light of the way they build roads and manage traffic in Europe and around the world today, and in light of how fast the equipment is today, there has to be less riders. But the answer is not less riders per team.
Okay. Oren writes, look out for Kittle. He was by far the fastest guy for the line for sure. The overhead shot showed him blast into the shot after Javalia, Sagan, and Christoph, like they were on an easy weekend ride. He did steal third from Christoph, but was definitely the fastest, just poorly positioned.
I agree. I mean, if that's, yeah. I mean, the finish line is where the finish line is.
Yeah.
But you can, I agree with, I forget the name already. I agree that
Oren.
That's an indication of days to come. I mean, if somebody's got that kind of speed on display, they just timed it wrong, or they just got missed, they didn't have their team perfectly lined up. I agree.
And today we saw Kittle.
You don't just go fast because nobody gave him a hand sling.
Yeah.
He's going fast. So I agree.
We saw him dealing with a mechanical right by the.
Yeah,
right,
he flat, rear flat, took a bike change. 7K before the finish. That the action really started at 5. There were 6 corners in the last 5K. If you get a flat, you're sorry.
This is kind of a
Talk
fun.
tomorrow.
Okay, this is kind of a fun, lighthearted question from Matt. He says, "Thanks for the amazing content you guys are producing. Proud to be a season pass member."
Thanks, brother.
But here's a quick question. I'm not sure why I was thinking this, but I was watching Chavanel on stage 2, and was curious if the guys on the team get to keep the bikes that they ride at the end of the tour. I know some go. He goes on to say, I know some go to charity sites sometimes, but he just wants to know if you get to keep these bikes.
You'd be surprised, and my teammates and anybody that raced pro, you'd be surprised at how stingy the teams are.
Really?
Yeah, they hold on to this stuff. They really do.
Like they want to sell it to put cash back in the coffers?
I mean, it's sad to think about, right? But let's just be honest. Team BMC, team has been around for a long, long time, spent $200+ million. They're going to go away. The only thing that they are going to have left, that Jim Akowitz is going to have left to his name, you ready? Some team cars. Those might be leased. A bus that they own, maybe 2 buses. Whatever gear, bikes, jerseys, tires, wheels, that's all the equity you get. Have a nice night. That's it. That's the way the sport is structured. So in light of that, they have a little garage sale at the end of the whole story, which is mind-blowing that you invest that much. Fast forward, you're having a garage sale. So to answer your question, no, they don't.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a lot of I know there's a whole bunch of bikes you raced on hanging in Mellow Johnny's. I mean, what's the story? It depends on the team and how much funds they have.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to generate.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. That's a great question, though.
See, I'm packed up here.
I know you're ready
to go suffer.
I know. We'll be back.
Ready to go hustle.
We'll be back tomorrow to cover the team time trial. Check out the new stuff in the WEDÜ shop at WEDÜ.team, including the cool hat that Lance is rocking today.
It's called a Denver rope.
And then I really mentioned I have this.
That's old. That's retro.
But this looks similar to the T-shirts we already have. But the new material. This is the first time I slipped on the new material. It feels really good.
And okay, last thing, because we've gotten a lot of notes about this. For the folks that bought the gear and swag from last season with stages, just make sure we know that you feel a little outdated. Send us an email or tag us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Let us know that you're wearing some of last year's swag. and we'll make it right for you.
Okay.
Get you in some new stuff, and it'll be very, very pain-free.
Questions and comments, if you want to include it in an upcoming show, send it to themove@wedoo.team.
Okay, I'm out. I'm going back in.